It's the April and Tomeeka show. It's the April and Tomeeka show.
Okay, so April.
Yes.
This is our first Zoom podcast.
I'm so excited.
How exciting. And then we have a special guest, Dr. Gregory Canillas.
Yes. Thank you.
Hi, Doc. Nice to have you.
So
Hi, thank you for having me.
Let me do a little bit of your bio. You're the president and a CEO of Soul to Soul, a mission-driven company that provides LGBTQ plus couples and parenting retreats.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
How exciting.
That is.
Soul to Soul also certified to provide the SYMBIS, Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts, assessment to all couples.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Canillas is also an associate professor at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology and serves on the facilities of Pepperdine and national universities. And this could go on and on and on. And he's going to leave you guys with all of his info. But nice to have you.
Thank you for having me.
I already have a question, but
Okay. I love.
If one were needing marital, therapy, is it only for the LGBTQ community, or is it open to all? Sorry.
So I'm not actually doing therapy. What we do is retreats. And
Just
so
retreats. Okay.
yeah, so prior to COVID, we would do on-ground retreats. The last one was February 2020. COVID hit. Those that were scheduled for May and July of last year, we had to cancel because nobody could do anything. We're starting those again at the end of July at the Renaissance in Long Beach. So it's a weekend-long retreat just for LGBT couples.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting.
It sounds fun.
And
As
so-
Mika said, we do a SYMBIS assessment, which is for everybody. So it's an online computerized assessment for all couples at any stage of their relationship, ideally premarital, so that people can deal with their issues before they get married, so it doesn't cause problems, it decreases like conflict and stuff like that. But that's to everybody. The couple takes it separately. I get an alert when they both completed it, and then we unpack it in session. So we've been doing it primarily by Zoom, but we'll probably go back into the office once things kind of really open up, if people choose to do that. So that's for everybody, but the online, the on-ground retreats and an online version of that, a shorter version, is for LGBT couples, because nobody's really doing that. And marriage equality passed about 6 years ago, and folks need help.
They do.
Yes.
Okay.
So we
I appreciate
decided
it.
to have you.
Thank you.
And we've been going back and forth with setting up a podcast interview with you, but this was like perfect timing, Pride Month.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So we felt
See how
that we
timing?
really wanted to end our month with having you on the show and getting some of our questions answered, because we got questions, Dr. Greg.
Okay. Hopefully I have answers.
Right.
So April, you first or me first?
I just wanted to ask, I'll go first. In your community, I just, because I don't know much about the rules and things that are getting passed. So my question is, what would you like to see implemented as part of your rights that maybe has not, or maybe it's tabled or coming up? What would your wish list be?
Marriage equality, I think, was the big thing for everybody. And that passed 6 years ago. So now it's the law of the land. Passed during the Obama administration. There's stories about, Mrs. Obama sneaking out as soon as that was passed and having a great time with everybody else that was yelling in the streets. But I think that was a major thing. I think the Trump administration, though, there's all this like anti-trans legislation that's coming out. So it doesn't necessarily affect the LG folks, but the T folks, it's definitely affecting. And once they start with one group, they'll come for the others. So it really is, I think, more trans legislation now that people are really focused on, and trying to make sure that stuff doesn't pass. They're kind of slipping that stuff in under the table. If you really are watching the news lately, primarily led by the Republican Party, being very conservative about that. So I would think that that's kind of the next thing that people are really trying to push for. being more open around trans folks and trans issues.
Okay, good to know.
Mhm.
My dying question here is your coming out story.
Okay. So I have many,
Okay.
as many LGBT people have, because you come out quite a bit. Like it's not like you just have one party, although that actually is part of my story. So I didn't come out. I think I told you this in our email communication that I didn't come out until I was 33, raised in a
So
Black
interesting to
Christian
me.
home.
That's
Yeah,
a long time.
yes, I wouldn't
So,
advocate it.
so who was Dr. Gregory before 33?
Oh, I was there, but I just just wasn't out to my family. So
Okay.
I went through, I think how I kind of survived is I went from high school to undergrad to graduate school, went straight through to get a doctorate, was kind of occupied with that stuff. So I wasn't not doing anything, but
Mhm.
I had friends and had a good time and stuff, but was not dating really until I finished graduate school and didn't come out until I was like 33. So I was in a relationship at that point. It was a new relationship. He was a few years younger than me. He came out to his mom on the phone one night. It's like, hey, I'm in a relationship. His name is Gregory. The mom was like, oh, okay. And so a few months later, I was like, let me come out to my family. So it was at my 33rd birthday party. I had a big party. The week later, I had a smaller party with family, my mother's family. My mom was present, her sisters, her brothers, my siblings and their partners or spouses. And I just kind of, first I said, I won the lottery. I've announced I won the lottery. And they were all excited. I'm like, no, that's not it. I'm gay. And they were like, oh yeah, we already know that. I'm like, okay, well, right. Did anybody want to say anything about it before? Because I mean, later on it was like we kind of laugh about it, but later on I thought about it, was like that was kind of messed up. I don't want to use language because I know this is a show, but that people didn't talk about it at
I
all.
think it's cute that everybody knew, but everybody respected you enough in their own way to just say, we'll wait till he
So he's
decides,
ready. Yeah.
you know?
Well, so as I've unpacked it over the years, I think that lets them off the hook. So honestly, like, because honestly,
Because you are the doctor.
yeah, this isn't my story, but lots of people get into drugs and alcohol. There's a
Right.
higher rate for LGBT people than for non-LGBT people. Suicidality, higher rates, rates of depression, things like that. So luckily for me, that didn't happen, but it kind of let them off the hook by saying, because people did say that to me, like, well, I kind of didn't want to say anything. I'm like, I thought you were happy. I'm like, well, how the hell are you happy when you're not being your authentic self? So that kind of let them off the hook. But they knew, they were having conversations about it. They were having conversations with friends and family. And most people were supportive. My mother took it really hard. She actually had to leave the party. She was in tears. She just really was having a difficult time with it because my mom was a lay minister. She was very involved in the church. She was very concerned about like the afterlife for me, like where you're going, those kinds of things. So that's part of the reason why I think I delayed coming out. With my father, it was a separate meeting. I told him just before I went to his office, we went to lunch, I said, Daddy, I have something to tell you. I'm gay. He's like, yeah, I know. He's like, those are some nice slacks. Are they part of a suit? I'm like, yeah. He's like,
Unbothered.
I don't know about unbothered. I just think not wanting to process it much.
Got you. Diverting. Yeah. I see.
Yeah. But they were accepting. I didn't have the experience that many people have where families, I know people who families threw them out of the house, families that just disown people. So it's still not well received in certain segments of the African American community.
I think that's so hard to fathom. Like, if my kid came out, it is what it is. I need my kid alive. I need my kid healthy and
yeah, exactly.
And above that, like nothing else matters.
Yeah.
I just want you to be safe.
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think that nothing else matters. But
Right.
Dr. Gregory, so about how many years ago was that?
Oh, just a year. I'm only 34.
Are you serious?
He's like, my.
Okay, because what I was going to say was that we all know and love gay people. Like we've always known and loved gay people.
Yes.
However, there was once a time where you're right. Like you could not have come, it doesn't matter. You could have been gay all your life.
Yeah.
And people could have saw it, but you better not just come out. Like come out
Yeah.
what?
Right.
You know?
Like kind of just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, as long
I'd
as
rather
you do
not
that
know.
stuff over there, you know,
Right.
you're good with us. But the minute that
Exactly.
you live in your authenticity, then it becomes our problem. And like nobody could see it, right? So I always thought, and you know, I'm almost 50 in a few years. I used to always think like, why would you want your kid to be suicidal? Why would you want your kid to not be here to make you comfortable? You
Right.
know, while they're living this really uncomfortable life. So, like April said, if my kids came out gay, I'm just like, okay, yeah, maybe I probably had different ideas for you. However, I want you here. You know what I'm saying?
More than
Exactly.
anything.
I get
Exactly.
that we have certain ideas because we come from a mother-father household or not, you know,
Right.
and that's just kind of how we, you know, we've seen the nuclear family. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like you want a healthy child or you want just this, you know, shell of a child to make you feel comfortable, you know?
I think
Exactly.
the only thing that would concern me is because I am a parent, I probably would be yearning for grandchildren. So being
Yes.
that feeling that would be the only drawback. Like my next question would be like, how are we gonna get some grandbabies? You
Yeah.
know, and
Which you still can have.
Well, let's
no,
look at it
exactly.
now.
But I would hope that that would be a question that we could kind of go over because some
Yeah.
people just don't want once they find out this is what they are, you know, or who they choose to be, what they don't want kids. So I would want to know if you are planning kids, you know, to have children, what does that look like? Can I assist? You know, are you going to find a donor or, you know, so just as long as you would give me some grandbabies. And again, if you decide you did not want it, that would be something else I would have to process. The other
Yes.
coming out or telling me that part, I'm okay with. But I really think for the legacy of the family, I want some children, especially if you're an only child. So there are a lot of, you know, it's a flow chart. Are you an only child? Now you're this. And now how does that continue to blossom?
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
questions, you know, but nothing where we can't work it out.
Right. That's a fair question, though. And I think kind of to piggyback on what you both say, like there's a grieving process for parents. And I think sometimes that's missed, especially when they have a really difficult reaction to it. But they have like ideas, like Mika said, like of what that would look like for their kids. Most parents have an idea of like, they want you to maybe go to college and get married and have grandkids and, you know, have the house with the picket fence and all those kinds of things. And most of the parents that I work with really try to do the best by their kids that they can, but they do what they know. And sometimes it's not always helpful or healthy. But yeah, I think that sometimes is missed in the process of coming out is that the parents have a grieving process and reaction too that needs to be addressed.
Right. That is
I
true.
love that you said that sometimes parents have a grieving process because you have to grieve the life that you had already in your head about
Exactly.
who this child would become.
Absolutely.
And now it's like this child's new reality. And it's now, okay, so how do we
reality.
pivot? Okay.
Right.
So therapy, basically. Let's go sit on somebody's
Therapy or religious counseling or somebody that can step in and help you if you're having a difficult time with that.
Right.
Definitely. I see parents all the time because I do coaching, not long-term therapy. And the coaching, we talk about that all the time. Like, am I doing the right thing with my kid? I have lots of people that have kids that have gender issues and they're not sure like how should we proceed with this? Are they straight? Are they gay? Are they trans? Like are they non-binary? Like what's happening with my kid and am I doing the right thing? I'm like, yeah, you're supportive. The same as you would be with your kids with any other issue. That is what a good parent does. You know, if you're like, no, you can't do this, then what is the consequence of that kind of behavior?
I want to pivot just for a second. I have a question about like when you're raising a child who identifies, okay, a boy child who now identifies as a girl. I don't know what my real thoughts are about it just yet because you know I'm not in that space. But we've all commented about Gabrielle Union and
Yes.
Dwayne Wade, and like what
Yeah.
do you think about it? And I kind of try to put on the hat where, is it any different than my kid wanting a ear piercing? Maybe at 6, and I'm like, no, wait till you're 13. Is it different? Is it that we should just allow them to wear the makeup and dress like the girl who, but they came out as a boy, or
Your vice versa.
yeah, so
That's a tough one.
what are your thoughts? Because
Yes.
I'm so confused. I'm like, I know I have certain thoughts because I try to do my kids in stages. Like one of my kids, she knows, she asks everything for years. So she's like, okay, how old do I have to be to get this? And how old do I have to be? And I give her years, and I give her outrageous years because I want her to think like, look, you can't drink till you're 35. You cannot get a cell phone till you're 13. Naturally, she'll probably get one before that, but I literally tell her till 13.
Right.
So what would we do? Like, what help?
That's a good question. I think a lot of people grapple with that because I don't know if you've seen like comments when they post, when the Wades post about their daughter, and a lot of people in the Black community are like, why are you allowing her to do that? And, or him, or whatever they will say about the issue. She identifies as her now, and the family supports it.
Right.
I get that she identifies as a girl, but I think for me, it's I kind of look at it like this: you can't wear the miniskirt just yet. You know how we used to have to hide our clothes to go out the house.
Yeah, even as
we get there,
Yeah, and we change when we get.
Yeah, so like, I wonder how much or too soon. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like if you're letting them explore the whole, like, I guess it's easier when it's a girl who's decided to become a boy. She's just fully covered up. But now when you see the boy and he's like got his belly open and I'm like, shouldn't that be at stages, whether you're a girl or a boy?
It should be.
Well, yeah, I think that's a different issue. I think it's around like clothing and that.
Because I'm like, so
that might be appropriate whether you're born a girl or you're a trans girl.
So if you don't have any rules to it though, when do you know what I'm saying? Like if you're saying at 6, you can go ahead and dress the way you feel or the way you present. Like,
so what is your answer? I don't know. That's a big question.
Most kids know.
Loaded.
Well, yeah, it is, I think, for a lot of people. But most people know who they are early on. So, if you identify as heterosexual, a girl who likes boys, you know that when you're like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. So I don't think it's any different. Like trans people know that they're trans. LGBT people know that they're LGBT. They know usually. Gay people know early on. I knew when I was 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever. It wasn't something like, I waited till 33 to know that. I just didn't come out until I was 33. Okay. So people know. What the Wades are doing though is supporting her in that. Okay. We want you to be who you are. We want you to be your authentic self. She came to them and said, as I understand it, this is who I am. Initially they thought she was a gay boy. This was the thing which they took her at the time, it was him, to Pride, and people had an issue about that. Like, why is Gabrielle Union taking her kid to Pride? And then I think probably about a year later, she went to them and she said, I'm trans, and they supported it. They had already been supporting her as gay. So that's really what we want parents to do, because people know early on, they know who they're attracted to. The confusion comes when parents and community, church, etc., says you can't be who you are.
Right.
I think I support what they're doing with her. It's good it's good for her. And you never know what people's lives are like outside of social media. But she's happy in all of the pictures. She always looks supported. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade have talked about it openly. They seem to be very supportive. They're not just talking or pictures, they're just pictures that are empty. There's stuff behind it. I've seen them both talk very openly about it. And she's supported. That's what you want kids to have. Not just as trans, but in any kid with any issue. You want kids to know that they're seen, loved, and heard. And I feel like they're doing that with her. And so kudos to them.
Period. Thank you.
It's like 14.
Period. Yeah.
So to your point about the dressing, I think it's just an age thing for me. if I had a Zaya, or, you know, it would be
Yeah.
appropriate. She's 14, okay, a little tank top, whatever, but I wouldn't want that tank top at 6 years old. So I would go
Right.
to the 8,
Yeah.
you know, and
Right.
just
I would agree with that.
she's probably gonna switch it when she gets to school and put the makeup on. So I
Right.
think that's more. And then I remember the controversy with Bootsy. He was just saying, you have a group of people that's saying that's well and fine, but let's let her mature to an adult to make that decision, because I think there's a group of people that feel that the kids could change their mind. You're so fickle. You really don't know. You like someone today, you might not like them tomorrow. So before making such a drastic change, permanent change, just let them be a little older. And I think a lot of people feel that way, because 13, 14 to be dressing, and, you know, you can support, but I would not let them do the sex change, hormones, you know, taking pills. I would just, I too would wait. When you're 18, go for it.
Right.
But until then,
But I would do that with my kid with anything. No, you're not getting your nose changed. You know, you're not getting, you can do all that when you get grown, and, you know, but yeah.
So there's a time and place for everything. So I would just still support, but you're gonna wait just a little longer.
Right. You can change your clothes.
And I think I think it's different for each person. Like some people will wait to transition fully until they're older, like 18, like you're talking about. And then some kids will start on hormones a little bit earlier. It just depends on the person. I think in terms of like the physical look, earlier people start on hormones, the more they look like the gender that they've chosen to be.
Right.
Because honestly, I don't hate to use her as an example, but Caitlyn Jenner, you know, transitioned when she was older. So she doesn't look as feminine as somebody who would transition as 18.
Okay.
Correct.
Got you.
Most people also, you know, it's the hormones,
Man.
you know, what did you say?
I said she was a grown woman, and then I said I meant man, but I don't know what she is, a trans
Gender woman.
Right.
How she defines now.
Yeah.
Right. But you know that she was Bruce Jenner for what, 60 some years.
Yes.
So to do the hormones that late, you look as feminine as you would if you were 18. Does that make sense? So sometimes people are concerned about that too, because standards of beauty in the larger community too, things that trans people are not immune to that as well. So people, LGBT people, I think, have body image stuff. They have stuff around that too. So it's a better, I think, transition for many people who know early on for them to start hormones at 18 or
at 18. Okay. Love it, love it, love it. Let's see, I have another question. So watching TV, I don't see many stories. So I did see Moonlight, which I love, and I am watching The Shy. So I wanted to get your opinion on both series, if you ever seen the movie, Moonlight, or the series The Shy, because there's a trans person there, which I love. And then moving forward, I'm wondering, do you think there'll be more storytelling of it, because it's needed? Like Moonlight to me was so tender and beautiful. Did you have a chance to see Moonlight?
I did. I saw it probably 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really sweet. I saw it again this week, and it just happened to be on, and I've worked with him before on another project, and Moonlight was coming out, so he gave the whole crew tickets to go see it.
Oh, nice.
No clue what we were going to see. No clue.
Okay.
And we were blown away. It was just so beautiful to me.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful film. Yeah.
So do you think they did a good job? Like, what are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah.
Because I only have those.
Absolutely. Because I mean, I think he tries to show Chiron's life in three segments. So when he's the young boy who was supported by people who you might not think would support him.
Right.
I can't remember the character's name. Actor's name.
Was he the drug dealer? The older?
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
I don't know his name either, but I know he's
and then his girlfriend. I mean, they were very supportive. He didn't have the same level of support at home. You see that. You see the bullying, how he handles that, and then him as an adult rekindling like a relationship that happened when he was younger. It was, like I said, very tender. It showed gay men in a different light. I mean, it's a different portrayal of how Black men are.
Right.
And so it was great. It won that's why it won the Oscar.
It won the Oscar.
Yeah, I haven't seen Shy, but there are some other things that I've watched that probably would be of interest to you. Like, I'm not sure if you watched Pose. Pose finishes
Heard
third
about
season.
Pose.
Yeah,
I can't
finishes
believe
third.
I gotta watch
slipped me. I gotta
Yeah.
watch Pose.
Oh yeah, you will love
On our
it.
radar.
Right. You told me.
Yeah, yeah. So the final season just ended, maybe a week ago.
Mhm.
Got a lot of press. It shows Black and Latinx trans women in a very different light. They're oftentimes not portrayed in TV or film very positively. There's a documentary that came out that Laverne Cox did about a year ago. And these things should be on the tip of my tongue because I did a presentation a couple months ago at Columbia about films, LGBT films, but Disclosure. It's called Disclosure on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah, so those things are great too. But there is more representation now. Not enough, just like with Black folks, we're still pushing representation around Black Lives Matters and around the portrayal of Black people, positive portrayals of Black people. So still a lot of work to do, but
Right.
more than was there like 10 years ago.
Okay, cool. I gotta watch Pose. We gotta get into it.
Right. What advice would you give your younger self, Dr. Greg?
To be authentic and probably to come out sooner.
Mm.
It's kind of old. I mean, in terms of coming out. I mean, there are people, I've worked with adolescents who come out much earlier, but it's interesting because they have issues. You would think that because they're more accepted today than when I was like 15 or 16.
Right.
They still have issues.
Do you feel, and I feel like right now it's like the most amazing time in our, like, since we've been born
Mhm.
to come out. It almost feels like it's a trend. It almost feels like even if you're not gay, you're gay for like a week, a month, a year, and then you go back and like, what is this?
People aren't afraid
That,
of water.
It's
I hope
so
that's
weird.
not
It's like,
happening.
and
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, why would you play with this? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Well, maybe they're not. Maybe they really have an interest. Like, a lot of people experiment in college.
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
Okay.
about how, these Instagram challenges, right?
Okay.
How
Yeah.
everything becomes like the in thing to do for the moment. I'm interested in getting your opinion about it. Do you feel like that it's some of that going on, or if it's just, people are just happy to do whatever?
Yeah, people, I mean, sometimes people have mental health issues.
Okay.
And they drive what you're talking about. I don't know the specific cases, but you can't be gay for a week, just like you can't be Black for a week. You can't be Latinx or Asian for a week or a woman for a week. I mean, I don't know what that's about. That might be a deeper issue. But certainly I think more people are coming out because it's more accepted now. 50 years ago, people were hiding it. I mean, I still know people that are 40 and 50 who are hiding it. They're not out to family. For some of the same reasons that I mentioned, like Black community is not supportive, or Asian community is not as supportive, Latinx community is not as supportive.
Wow.
And I've done like a ton of presentations on coming out in communities of color. The room is usually packed, and it's people who are Muslim and Jewish and Catholic and Methodist, and everybody's like trying to figure out how to stay connected to religion and community and spirituality when most religious communities don't support it. So I think people are more likely to come out now, but some of the people still have some of the issues that I talked about earlier, like you see with younger people, the drug use, you see depression, anxiety, which doesn't always make sense given that society is much more supportive. But a lot of it also has to do with, I think, how they're received in their families of origin.
Right, because if you're raised in that really strict household, I can see that. Okay. I have a gay cousin who is a pastor, and oh my God, he's so amazing. But he's been unapologetically himself all his life.
Right.
But now it's like, and he's so pro-Black. He's married to a white man, a white older man. Like, he is a contradiction all the way around to what the status quo would be. But he will come and he's like in your face with who he is. And he's kind of always been like that. I love him. I can't wait to just read his Facebook post because he's ready. And the fact that he came out in a time when it wasn't accepted as much as it is now, like he's like, yeah, I wish that people had the support that my cousin had growing up, you know? And I'm not saying that he had all good support because he did. I mean, back then it was hard to be gay, you know, in a Black community, in a Black church. And now he is a pastor of a church. He's been to several different states being a pastor, and he is living out loud.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
He's
Yeah, and that's what we want people to do, is be able to excel.
I have one other question. How, when you're trans and you meet somebody, do you think it's in your best interest to tell them right at that point? Because I know a lot of people, from what I see on TV and the shows I see, they wait because they figure if you love me, you love me. And I think that you have to give that person the opportunity to make that choice. And I think the sooner the better. And I feel like they get in trouble when they don't. You know, you can't trick anyone. You have, and I don't think mentally they feel like they're tricking them. I feel like they feel, you love me, I'm who I am. And you've already dealt with that, but you have to give that other person the same process to say yes or no.
I do think, again, I think I'm talking about being authentic. I think you need to be your authentic self. You need to disclose that. I don't know if I would do that on the first date.
Okay, right. Okay, maybe not the first.
Yeah, like, hi, I'm trans. I don't think so. Like, you know, I jokingly tell friends I have 2 plots at Forest Lawn, and I jokingly say, well, you know, I don't tell the people that on the first date. Like, what are your plans for us? To bury you next to me at Forest Lawn? No, that's too soon. You don't say that on
a lifetime. Yeah.
You don't say that on a first date. So I don't know that you need to say it early on, because again, that's something that's, I think,
but that's before the first kiss. Maybe.
What'd you say?
Maybe before the first kiss.
Yeah, maybe before that, or maybe before. But first kiss doesn't necessarily have to happen on the first date either.
That's true.
So
no, I hope the first kiss not happen on the first date, Dr. Greg.
Yeah,
you are not on the first date.
Yeah, we're old school, right? Don't do all that on the first date. But some people don't want to tell it because you don't know who's gonna. Rejection. Right. So it's that person's secret. It's that person. Well, not even I would say secret, but it's that person's life experience, and we don't always expose who we are on the first date. I mean, there are tons of people that I know that don't do it, and you think that you get one thing and it's something else. So it's I think up to that person to decide when they want to do it. But I hear what you're saying, like, and I think a lot of people think that, like, well, you didn't disclose it and you should disclose it. Yeah, I think so. If it's going to be a long-term relationship, you have to tell somebody that. You have to tell them and give them the choice about whether they want to get to know you better or not.
Absolutely. I agree. Okay. I always wondered about that.
So what does Pride Month mean to you? Because, like, when I see Pride Month, and Pride Month comes in like really, really strong now, it's everywhere. It's commercialized. Yep, it's a whole lot of things, right?
Movement.
For me, I just be like, wow, okay, damn, can Black people get some of that? You know, it's like they roll it on thick, okay?
Yes.
So I don't feel like I get it, you know? Yeah. I don't feel like I'm wrong in how I feel either, though. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like it's a lot, and it's a lot of money being, you know, pushed on Pride Month. So, you know, tell me what that feels to you, though, because it has to feel something exciting and amazing. I be like, damn, y'all. I mean, I be cried out by the second week because it's overwhelming.
But I think they're so happy, like it hasn't always been like this. Let's celebrate.
That's what I'm saying. Don't celebrate. I'm just saying they lay it on. So it's like when I think about Pride Month now, I feel like, you know how we do Valentine's Day and how they
Yes.
go big or go home.
Yeah, yeah.
One day. I feel like that's how Pride Month is the whole month. And I
Yes.
wish like
We
black
had that.
people were celebrating
Yeah, yeah.
with that full intensity. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying for you guys to belittle yourselves and bring it down a notch. I would just want the same energy for
Yeah,
us.
like February.
Yeah.
We don't go all out
It
the
doesn't.
way.
I don't see the advertisement that I see.
You don't see it as much, but you do see it because I think it's commercialized too. So well, this is America, so you know,
Right.
cash rules everything around you. Cream, get the money, dollar bill, y'all. So it's about the money, I think, for a lot of places. Like you can go and buy a Pride shirt at Target, and I'm not knocking Target because they have it. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was reading something today about Juneteenth, you know, that it was signed, I guess today, yesterday, into law, and now this is an official holiday. And someone tweeted, yeah, we hold it sacred, but in 5 years, it'll be mattresses 50% off on Juneteenth.
Right.
It'll be about something else to be commercialized. So I think that's about people making money because they know that LGBT people have money. It's the same thing. I see that kind of, not to the same degree, but in February, it rolled out everything, Black History Month and all that. So we are competing though, like you said, with Valentine's Day in February. So I think they choose to roll one out more than the other, but I think that's the commercialized part of it. And I think.
So how does it feel to you this month? Is it like a celebration the whole month? Like, what is it? Is it like, what does it feel like?
It is different things happen throughout the year. So Pride is not just limited to June. There's Pride in Atlanta, Labor Day weekend, Black Pride, Miami Sizzle in May. There's like stuff all year round. I think they're doing something in Dallas around Juneteenth this weekend. So there's stuff all the time that's happening, but June is kind of like the month where everybody mostly celebrates it. So there's LA Gay Pride, which has always been like a kind of a big thing for folks to go and hang out and socialize. It's really, I think for a lot of people, Pride in June is about socializing with like-minded people.
Right.
That represented in the same way that, this weekend I'll be in Tulsa. I'm going to like something for Juneteenth. It'll be Black people celebrating Black people. So it's the same kind of thing where we're not as represented as Black people as we should be. And it's the same thing with LGBT people. It's about representation. So people do go hard, like you said in June, but I think it's about celebrating who you are and being authentic. And for many people, they don't do that. Get that. A lot of people come out at these prides.
And you know what? When we was in London a couple years ago, it was a big Pride parade going on. It's worldwide.
That was July.
It was in July. So
it was big out there.
Yeah. It's around the world. I think Montreal's having one in August. I think every country now has them.
Oh, you know what? Y'all gotta have a lot of money to keep up at this point.
You do. If you hit everyone every month, you do have that
thing with them.
A coin.
I'm sorry. They're on one accord. For us to do it, it's almost like religion. Who's Baptist? Who's this? Who's that? So it's kind of hard to come together. They're coming together for one cause.
My God.
You know what I mean? So
amazing.
therefore, it's much easier. Y'all are being authentic and being able to be free. We don't do it because Black History Month, I'm this, I'm Muslim, I'm this, I'm that. So there's no whole lot coming together.
Then we have a whole lot of us, not to get off subject.
Yes.
Who will be like, why we gotta celebrate Black History Month? Oh, okay, forget it.
Yeah,
like,
you know what I mean?
We can't.
It's too much pushback.
Yeah.
That goes back to the whole
It'll be interesting to see how Juneteenth plays out.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what happens this weekend. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yep.
I think we're done.
Yeah, I got
our
all
questions.
my questions
But
out. But
Dr. Greg, I will say, Dr. Greg and I met at the Polo. What was it? The Polo Club little event?
Yeah, it was the
Will Rogers.
Verve Clicquot's LA Polo event.
Oh.
And so he was with one of his little boo things. How's that going? Are you dating?
I knew you were gonna bring that up.
They were so freaking cute. Like I was all in his business.
Oh,
I had
were you?
questions then.
Yes, she was. She was.
That's
She had a friend with her. They rolled up on me. They were like, "What's going on with that relationship?"
They
Because
were cute boots though.
he is young, and he was talking about this. They got us both cornered.
Yeah.
Several
I was like,
questions, and
no.
yeah, he's around. We're not dating anymore, but he's around.
I told you. Mhm.
I know you told me. You were like, that's not gonna work.
You said that?
I
She was like, listen here, I don't know you. It's gonna work. I was like, yeah, I already know. Because we had dated before. I've known
Are
him.
you dating now? Are you married? Like, what are you doing?
No, I am very selective. So that's the last person I've formally dated. I've dated other people since then, but serious. I have some people that are of interest.
Okay.
Mhm.
You know, I have to be very selective because again, I do marital stuff. So I'm not gonna get into a bad relationship. That's
Right.
so critical. You know, I'm like
Oh,
telling people, this is what you should do, and then my own relationship falling apart. So I'm very selective. I have dates if you know any. What?
okay.
Oh, I might have
That's-
someone for you.
That's
Stay
great.
there, please.
Stepping date. And here's what I wanted to ask you, being
Uh-huh.
a black gay male in a society, during COVID, how was that? How was dating during COVID? You know,
Yeah,
that
hopefully
weird, right?
everybody else. I was not dating people during COVID.
I know
Okay.
that's right.
Yeah.
They're 6 feet apart and all that.
Yeah, it was like, no, a mass up. Now I did travel.
Okay.
And now people were like, I did kept that under wraps because, you know, I didn't want to get COVID and people like, that's what you get. Why are you in Mexico? But I was gone.
You should have called us.
Yeah, well, yeah, tickets were like 29 cents.
Oh,
Yes. Oh, and
Oh,
now they're
cheap.
$1 million.
They're gonna make up for that.
Yeah.
But no, I was not dating during COVID because it just was like, you know, I didn't want to see people I knew.
right.
So how was the mental health for not just gay people, but anybody you were counseling during that time? How was the mental health during COVID for you? How was the business?
People went nuts.
Mhm.
Say this, and this is a positive for Black folks. Black people went to therapy. I know people who are African American clinicians, Latinx clinicians. They were seeing people. They were full. Like I don't see people for therapy, as I mentioned before. But if I have people that come to me that need something beyond the retreats, then I like to send them to people that I know. And everyone's full. People are like, oh, I can't take people. I have a wait list. I'm like, this has never happened before. And it was a lot of Black folks that just kind of this triggered stuff for people, not just Black people, but specifically Black people that I know were going into therapy. But people were anxious, they were depressed, substance abuse stuff went up, just all the stuff that really, it triggered a lot of stuff for people. And so the positive was, I think more people sought mental health. But I think now we're going to see, we don't know the fallout of that. I tell my students that I teach a clinical practicum course, and we don't know what the fallout will be because we were locked up for like well over a year against our will. You know, forced to wear masks, you can't touch people. That's really part of the human experience. Yeah, like people want to hug and kiss and stuff. And I did sneak and do that when I would see people on occasion, you know, family and stuff who said that they would, even before the vaccines. But yeah, we don't know what the fallout is going to be. So I'm pushing people to come to the workshop that I mentioned earlier on vision boarding and the 5-year plan because it just knocked people out of whack. And so it's kind of a realignment at the workshop, trying to get people back on track to kind of process some things because people were expected to operate at 100%. And I know that there's some fallout for that because people, you just couldn't.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. So during the retreat, take us through a day of a retreat with you. How does that unfold?
Sure. So folks come in on a Friday afternoon. They check in around 4. There's like an overview. I do about an hour. There's like 14 hours of workshop modules. We do about an hour. We have dinner together. And then we do about 2 more hours and then they're free on Friday night to do whatever they want to do. Then Sunday morning, we wake up, we have breakfast. I do about 3 hours. We have lunch together, another 3 hours of workshops, and then dinner on their own. They can explore the city. They can have dinner at the hotel. They can have room service, whatever they want to do. And then Sunday morning, breakfast, 3 hours of workshops, wrapping it up, and then they're free to go and do what they like. So it's built around the material that they get that's helpful for their relationship, but there's also a travel component. Like the research, the psychological research suggests that couples that travel together do better. So there's that part. You love that. You love
some things out.
We just had a podcast about this.
Okay. Yeah. So you know, so that they tend to do better. So they're in. We chose. It was very well thought out. Chose specific cities, like world-class cities, where people can find stuff to do. People of color, as LGBT people, iconic properties. The Watergate Hotel in DC, which is gorgeous. The Harborview Hotel on Martha's Vineyard, which is a 130-year-old property. The Intercontinental in San Francisco, which is kind of like a city feel. The Scott Resort and Spa in Scottsdale, which is kind of a boutique hotel that has an on-site spa. The food is delicious in the restaurant. And so there are a couple other ones, but that's kind of the gist of it. So next year, I'm hoping to do New Orleans for Essence. So in theory, you can come in the daytime, get what you need for your relationship, and you can go to a concert at night or explore the city or hit the clubs or whatever you want to do.
Are they jam-packed, these retreats?
They shall be. They shall be.
No, I'm saying when you
In the
normally,
past.
in the past, were they jam-packed?
No, well, we take 10 couples.
Oh,
So-
okay.
So I'm rolling out.
It was intimate.
It's very intimate.
Okay, so you
love
probably are building
Later.
lifelong relationships in these retreats. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So people can come at any stage of their relationship. Again, premarital works best because people then identify the issues. You don't have that drama. You know, your home is supposed to be your respite. Like
Right.
the world is
Yeah.
for many of us. And,
I love
and
it.
it's supposed to be peaceful.
Supposed to be.
When you fight in the world, you shouldn't be fighting at home.
That's
Right.
It's to help people to deal with that before they get married. But people are welcome to come at any stage of their relationship. And we're trying to normalize this because all the wedding sites, including the bigger ones, the LGBT ones, nobody has premarital counseling on there. You can find vendors for flowers. You can find people for the hotels or a venue. You can find, you know, somebody to marry you, but it's not on any of them. And I'm like, well, I'm not to sign up for this. And they're like, we're going to put you under officiant. I'm like, I'm not marrying people. That's not what I'm doing. And then they're going to find me and then I don't know what I'm talking about. So it really is trying to normalize this too. So we're really, it's kind of groundbreaking stuff. So it's been hard to sell people on it because they're like, I don't need that. I'm like, you're on your third marriage. Come on now. You did.
Need it. Yeah. Can I ask a question? When do you
Of
go to
course.
Martha's Vineyard?
We say
What time of the year do you go to the vineyard?
it's going to be, that one is in, I think, mid-October.
Oh, October. Okay.
So still the season, but the end of the season.
Yeah, it's nice there.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're going to have all of these trips this year?
this year, one per month.
Wow, you're going to be
Yeah.
attracting somebody living out
Yeah.
of your case.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. I love it.
Okay.
They need
Yeah.
you.
Well, we're going
Yes,
to leave
thank
your
you.
information with the people. And
Thank
it was our pleasure to talk to you finally, to
My
get
pleasure
your
as well.
thoughts, to understand a little bit
A
more
little
about
bit.
the LGBTQ community,
Yeah.
Q plus community. Yes, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Yeah.
energy.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you as well.
It's the April and Tomeeka show.